let's talk about acceptance and the emotional journey. Our lives never end up looking like a Pinterest board, do they? And I believe that's a great thing. The challenges and adversity life brings us can be what carves out who we are and help us find our purpose. In this module, we will learn about a practice of radical acceptance that was fundamental to moving through the grief and overwhelm of the emotional journey of being a parent or caregiver of a child with food allergies. When it was time to introduce solid foods to our son Oliver at 7 months, we did everything right. We used the baby-led weaning method and followed a pediatric registered dietitian and nutritionist advice on the early introduction of food allergens to a T. We also took an online course offered by an occupational therapist and feeding specialist as an insurance policy that we were, without a doubt, doing it all right. You may already know that you can do everything right and still have food and environmental allergies. Solid food and early allergen introduction were going well for us until I gave Ollie scrambled eggs and he developed full body hives. It was so scary, but I brushed it off as a one-time thing, like a heat rash. I couldn't handle the possibility that this incident might indicate a bigger issue. I was just emerging from a period of postpartum anxiety and depression. I didn't have the bandwidth to take on anything else, not more appointments, extra care, stress, or anxiety. I felt like I didn't have the time or energy to take on something as complex and time-consuming as food and environmental allergies. But I had to face reality when I gave Ollie peanut butter and he had a severe anaphylactic reaction. My background in nutrition and recognition and awards as a global thought leader in health and wellness didn't make Ollie immune to food allergies, and it wouldn't keep him safe. So we met with Ollie's pediatrician and an allergist and ran the usual skin prick panel and blood work tests. I was stoic throughout this period. In the doctor's office, in front of our son, my husband, and even the doctor. But when we received Ollie's diagnosis, I felt like I slipped through some sort of portal and into a place where everything I knew and trusted was replaced by grief and sadness. The freedom I had assumed would be a part of his early years and ours as a family disappeared. Everything I'd planned for us, traveling, eating like a local, trying new foods, felt like it went with it. I tried to ignore my grief and anxiety, but as you can probably guess, it didn't work. Finally, I realized if I was going to be the mom Oliver needed, I had to acknowledge everything I was feeling and process my grief. If you're experiencing something similar, I encourage you to do the same in whatever way makes sense. It's not supposed to look pretty or perfect, and it likely won't if you're doing it right. To begin processing, I practice radical acceptance. You've probably heard of radical acceptance. It feels like the phrase is everywhere these days. Radical acceptance is about accepting life's difficult and painful realities to reduce suffering. Dr. Marsha Linehan, the psychologist who developed the concept, explains that radical acceptance rests on letting go of the illusion of control and willingness to notice and accept things as they are right now without judging. It is a complete and total openness to the facts of reality as they are without throwing a tantrum and growing angry. In my own words and from my own experience, radical acceptance is awareness and non-judgment, which means not defining anything as good or bad. Everything, including food and environmental allergies, just is. Practicing radical acceptance does not mean forcing yourself to be happy about a painful situation. Who could be pleased that their child has life-threatening allergies? I was heartbroken and scared, and I had a hard time relating to new parents who didn't have to worry about severe allergies on top of all of the other things new parents have to worry about. For me, practicing radical acceptance meant working on accepting life as it is in the moment, and honoring all of my big, wild feelings about it. Once I embraced my feelings, I could work through them and see that Oliver's diagnosis was neither good nor bad. It was data, direction. Practicing radical acceptance takes practice. It takes a lifetime of practice and effort. Sometimes it will be easy to embrace. Other times, it might take a lot of work. And sometimes, well, you might get so busy, overwhelmed, or anxious that you temporarily forget radical acceptance exists or find it impossible to focus long enough to apply the practice. No matter what, it's all good. When I find myself overwhelmed in unexpected situations or feel like I'm barely treading water and radical acceptance is a bit out of reach, I ask myself, Emily, what are your top 3 jobs right now? This is something Lisa Gable discusses in our podcast episode, Find Your Future and Restore Your Identity. You'll learn more about restoring your identity in Module 9. But for now, take our practice of asking the essential question, what are the top 3 jobs I need to do right now? This will help apply the method of essentialism during the early stages of healing that require your focus and bandwidth. Depending on the situation, my 3 jobs might be keeping Ollie safe and happy, helping my family settle into our new home and city with as much ease as possible, and focusing on my self-care to support myself and everyone else. In another, the 3 essential jobs might be Ollie's health, communicating and connecting with my husband, and working on a professional project. I also consider what I can ignore or say no to. How can I do less? Sometimes I say no to anything and everything that comes up. I might even say no to the things I'd previously say yes to. Radical acceptance is best practiced all the time, especially in the chaos. We have to be the calm center when things spin away. Meditation pairs wonderfully, especially in these moments. During turbulent times, I remind myself that I can't control everything in my life. And instead, I focus on what I can control. I can't control Ollie's diagnosis, but I can control decisions around our family's diet, lifestyle, and environment, and positively impact Oliver's health and our entire family's health every single day. I have included a resource link in this module called 10 Steps of Radical Acceptance for you to refer back to as often as you need as you move along your journey. I've also included a 5-minute radical acceptance meditation on my podcast from my friend, composer, and meditation instructor, Murray Hittery of Mind Travel. I encourage you to try out all of these tools and resources that this course offers and use what works for you. And of course, that will change as you evolve and your journey takes on new directions. Come back to this practice as often as you need throughout your journey. It's something that I continuously practice even today. I'll see you in the next module.